Hello, welcome back to more. It's day 4. Look at there. I'm already rhyming. I'm so excited. I'm Suzanne. I'm glad that you're here. It is day 4 where we're going to be all about crushing old beliefs, about sparkling forward no matter what with unstoppable momentum. I can't wait. I am thrilled. So, hey, just a quick reminder, if you're here live, drop your name and the word live in the chat right now. If you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube, if you are catching the replay, good job you. Same thing, put your name in replay because I've been looking at all of the comments and looking at who's been here, and the team is keeping track. And tomorrow, after we're finished, we'll be drawing, and I will let you know in an email who won what, either 25 or 50 in an Amazon gift card, because I want you to get more chances to win those gift cards. So yay, good job you. Now, I'm going to give a lot of time today to questions and coaching. But first, what I want to do is I do want to go back to yesterday. So let's take just a minute and really think through what we did yesterday. If you remember, we began building our roadmaps of action, right? But we were doing it in a different way because we're doing it using our intuition. And at the end of yesterday, if you remember, I asked you to fill out a formula that takes your dream or a big goal of something you've been waiting on that you have, that you want to do, and it puts it out in the world. Do you remember that? It looked like this. Boom. And what I asked you to do was bring it with you today and be ready to let us know what that looks like. So who would like to put theirs in the chat right now? Remember, live or replay doesn't matter because I'm going to look at these, and I would love to take a look live right now for those of you that are here. So put it in the chat, and I'd love to take a quick look. And while you're doing that, I'm going to drop in the workbook today in case you don't already have it. So let's see if anyone's brave enough to put theirs in the chat. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. We are just practicing new ways of being in the world, right? Okay, let me grab the workbook link. Glad you're here, Brianna. Glad you're here, Beth. Okay, let's take a look. All right, and I just popped the link in the chat if you need it for your workbook companion. So anybody brave enough to put it in? And it's okay if you're still working on it, you're still figuring it out, right? Remember, mine was all about, certain kinds of women and helping them show up differently and using different strategies, right? It's just how you're doing that in the world. I do that through coaching. You could say that I'm doing that through taking care of myself, because maybe it's you're doing something for your family, and the way you're doing that is not working as many hours. You see how this works every time. Okay, well, if you decide you want to put yours in along the way, great. I'm going to be taking a look at the comments and we'll be ready to go. But right now, what I need for you to do is, whether or not you've fully written it down, whether or not you're ready to put it out, what I need you to be about is belief. Because I need for you to believe that statement. I was doing some research as I was preparing, and it is so interesting to note that our beliefs are shaped, right? We know this is not new information, but our beliefs are shaped somewhere in about the tender ages of 0 to 8. So what does that mean? That means that these lessons that we have, they're unspoken usually, but they're deeply ingrained in us because they were part of our belief system at a very young age. That means that they're going to influence the view of ourselves and our abilities, right? And that's why I want you to believe that statement out in the world. That's okay. It's okay if you're catching up. That's no big deal. There's no stress here whatsoever. I'm just glad that you're here. So in this formula, and watch the replay if you don't know what I'm talking about. So in this formula, you're doing this thing, and then you're going to put it out, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to be filled with belief. And if you're not filled with belief, if it brings up some fear, some unease, I don't want you to be worried about that, because our beliefs might seem to be set in stone, right? But the magic of personal development, of being in alignment, of understanding what more means for you, lies in rewriting the script of what you thought it should look like and really bringing that forward into today. So I want you to imagine with me for just a moment that your brain is really a flexible powerhouse, okay? And it's true, your neural pathways, they can be reshaped your whole lifetime. These neural pathways, what they do is they pave the way for your limiting beliefs. We've been talking about that last couple of days, to take a back seat. And instead, what we want to be doing is the front seat. So your brain is like, oh, I'm paying attention to that. Oh, I'm paying attention to that. something pops up that we don't believe anymore. And your brain's like, I see that. But then you're like, no, we're going to not do that. And your brain's like, okay, now I know what to focus on instead. So if you're not having this kind of constant conversation with yourself, and those are some of the tools I taught you yesterday, then what happens is the wrong parts of your brain stay activated. And that part of your brain is what has the loudest voice. And you have to learn to boss your brain. So I want you to think of this almost as a metamorphosis. Okay. Really, you are helping your brain emerge into something bigger and better that will serve you. Now, remember, consistency here is key. So you need to have consistent effort when you're doing these kinds of practice. So maybe you've heard the phrase, your past doesn't define your future, right? And it's actually the truth. It's not just a catchy phrase. So it may define who you've been, but it doesn't have to write the future for you. Only you have the power to reshape your narrative, right? So the work that you've been doing the last couple of days is the work that you're doing that. So when you're doing this kind of embracing of alignment, when you're thinking about what abundance means, when you're saying this is plenty and this is more, and now I'm making sure that my soul is good with all of that so that all of this can be going together, it can feel daunting when you first start it, right? But remember, this is a journey that we're on. And journey means you didn't just arrive. It means you're journeying. You are going, right? You haven't arrived yet. And on that journey, surely there will be fears that get unearthed. There will be self-doubts that pop up, and usually kind of really terrible and inconvenient ways. And as we go through today, I want to remind you, just like my little PSA for you, you can't please everyone, right? I'm often to say, you're not pizza. Okay, think about that. Like everybody in your house can order a pizza, and they might order all different things because pizza can be something to everybody, but that's not you. So we're going to work really hard to set aside that chatter, that old belief, other people's opinions of ourselves, because we can't please everyone. The only person right now we're concerned with pleasing is our own self. Because until you're in alignment on what you're supposed to do in the world and how you're going to show up in the world with that formula that I gave you, everything else is going to feel off. So you could have this big thing you're trying to birth, but if it has been feeling pretty hard, it's not just your strategy that's wrong. It's maybe you're not in alignment. Okay. Alignment, then strategy, alignment, then strategy. So today is a lot about receiving kind of constructive feedback within a fear loop. All right. So I just want you to know what's coming today. And I want you to have that full belief that you are doing a new thing. Okay. You've done 3 hard days of accessing your inner wisdom, and I don't want anything else slowing that down, even fear. Okay. Fear loves to show up when you're doing a new thing. Fear loves to be present when you're establishing a new belief. And fear loves to hold you back when you're trying to create a new plan. So tell me in the chat, have you ever seen that happen to you? You're doing a new thing, you're establishing a new belief, you're trying a different plan, and suddenly fear shows up for you in some way. If that's been true for you ever, just say like yes or me or whatever in the chat and let me know I'm not alone here. Okay? Because I will tell you all day long, fear loves to divert my plan. All day long, when I'm trying to do a new thing, fear's like, oh, I don't know about that. All day long, when I'm establishing a new belief about being enough and that people need my stuff or whatever, man, that anxiety loop starts and I get a little squishy up in here. My heart rate goes up, right? Anybody with me? Like, let me know in the chat. And the reason that happens to us is because, fear is powerful. Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, every single time that you start a new job. Right. So see, fear's power like that, right? Fear is definitely power. Okay. And so when we're going through this today, remember, oh good, Beth, I'm going to put that up in just a minute. I want you to remember that fear is so powerful that it will keep you from achieving your goals. Fear will also keep you from living your best life. Fear feeds stagnation. Fear keeps us from taking advantage of opportunities. Fear loves to keep people in a self-made prison of their own fears, because that's what fear does. Okay. And that's kind of fear's purpose, but it doesn't have to be your story. So think about it this way: during times of crisis, during times of extreme uncertainty, you may feel like you're not yourself. Does that happen to you? Maybe you're finding it hard to concentrate, right? Like tasks that normally is like a no big deal. You're like, I can't even like do that. right? Sometimes it's not that you're tired or you need to eat or you're stressed. Sometimes it's fear because you've been doing a new thing. Maybe suddenly you start dropping things. Maybe you're feeling unusually clumsy. You might be spending hours playing solitaire or mindlessly flipping through Instagram. Maybe you have trouble sleeping or eating. Or maybe it's the opposite. All you want to do is sleep, or all you want to do is eat, or both. Did you know that these responses are actually built into our DNA? Here's the science. You see, the primary purpose of all animals, of which we are one, humans included, is to survive. That is your primary purpose. You might have thought your primary purpose was to make a lot of money. You might have thought your primary purpose was to be successful. You might have thought your primary purpose was to be loved. But guess what? The primary purpose of you as a being, as a species, is survival. And that is the way you have been built. And you are to survive so that we can eventually reproduce. Now, you may not want me saying that. You may like get all uppity about that. Like, okay, that's fine. But I'm just telling you from a scientific species, that is what we're supposed to do. Survive, reproduce, so that they survive, so that they reproduce, and the loop continues. So survival is therefore the primary function of this, of our brains. So our brain short circuits to keep us from doing anything that might kill us. And here's the secret. Any new thing is seen to your brain as a killer, as a T-Rex, as a bear, as a shark, because it's biological. Because your brain is like, oh, no, we don't know that. We don't know that new thing, that thing's going to kill us. And it will do everything it can to keep you from going after it because it's the job of your brain. Because remember, your brain is about survival. Your brain is not there to be like, yes, woo, let's go do the thing. That's not what it's about. Your brain is there to help you breathe and help your heart function and help you show up every day. And that doesn't mean doing something that feels risky to your brain. It's biological. Your fear is biological. Now, the way I see it, I just put on the screen, there are 3 types of categories of fear. Okay. Now, there are fears that we can talk about. I do a whole module in this inside my course with my clients, but there are really kind of 3 types of fear. So there's illogical fear, there's healthy fear, and there's real fear. Now, the latter 2 can be helpful, healthy and real. Healthy fear helps us discern, safe situations from a dangerous situation, right? That's that gift that's given to all of us. It can manifest inside of you with kind of an instinctual response, right? That kind of visceral feeling that you get, right? So this is the type of fear that we need for survival. This is the type of fear for protection. So for example, this fear shows up, you're standing on a really high ledge, right? Your healthy fear kicks in and cautions you, step back. You're going to fall off, step back. Right? That's healthy. Healthy fear will keep you from falling over the cliff in the same way that it keeps you from placing your hand too close to a flame. Healthy fear. Now remember, this fear response arises from the physical world and warns us of actual danger. I want you to know the difference here. Okay? So what is real fear? Well, real fear is also based in reality, but it's not the same as healthy fear because it's not based on physical danger. That's the difference. So examples could be the fear of losing the people we love the most, the fear of never achieving our dreams and being stuck our whole lives, the fear of our own death. Okay, it's reality, but it's not physical. It's not the physical world attacking us. Okay, so this fear exists in the truth that life is a terminal condition. And so we're short on time. It's based on something that is irrefutably true. Everything we do, everything we are has an expiration date. Okay, that's real fear. So these manifestations of real fear, you might call them an existential crisis, and that's okay, but they're just as valid as a healthy fear because they're associated with real events like death and change and pain. Okay, remember your brain's going to do everything it can to keep you out of death, change, and pain. Okay. Now, here's the thing about illogical fear, and I'm going to talk about it here in a minute. You can nullify illogical fear, literally. It takes commitment. It takes mental work. You're on that loop right now with me, but it absolutely can be done. And it does sound simple. Banish your fear. But the deal is banish your illogical fear. But that's the other thing about illogical fear. See, the only thing providing them sustenance is you. That's it. So illogical fears are anything that are not healthy or real. So an illogical fear might be, I'm going to go to a networking event and no one is going to talk to me. Therefore, I'm just not going to go because no one likes me. Illogical fear, right? So the thing about illogical fear that I actually like is illogical fear can motivate us. A logical fear can push us past a comfort zone. Illogical fears literally can help us be transformed to be out of that place. So the understanding that life is impermanent and it might be scary at times, I get that, but fear is a fuel. Fear can help some of our greatest achievements and most powerful relationships emerge. The only thing providing illogical fear sustenance is you, because it's not a real fear. So this is where yesterday's work is really important. Okay, so stay with me for a minute. All right. So fear and intuition, they are intrinsically linked. You thought I was going to tell you I'm going to totally get you out of fear. You're never going to feel it again. Nope, sorry. Fear and intuition are intrinsically linked. We are all armed with powerful intuitive responses to fear, and those should always be heeded. So remember, I'm trying to get you to listen deeper to your intuition, to your inner voice, to the understanding of what more looks like and abundance and alignment. I'm trying to get you to listen to that. So I would be a silly coach right now if I said, so when fear shows up, you should just ignore it. That's not what I'm saying at all. Intuition is what we know without knowing why. So just because we may not recognize the source of the intuition doesn't mean it's absolutely accurate or inaccurate. So most of us have experienced intuitions as certainty above things. So maybe inherently trusting someone that you just met, or conversely, immediately disliking someone you just met, right? That's intuition, right? So often intuition is accompanied by an emotion. So perhaps strong feelings of familiarity or even dread. So these messages, they come through in our feelings and our instincts, and they can pertain to situations. They can also pertain to people, things. And this goes back to healthy fear. Intuition is another way that our brains and our bodies communicate with us what is safe and what is not. Boom. That's why your intuition and abundance and your understanding of what more means and your fear are partners. They're partners. Abundance and intuition and more and fear literally become the partners for what that big belief is that you wrote down. So let's take a look at Beth's. So Beth, thank you for being transparent, Beth. Beth's formula is I give clarity and confidence to primetime women through my heartfelt support and well researched strategies to navigate the aging process. Isn't that beautiful? That's your purpose. That's your everything. That's your why. That's how you're going to do life. That's how you know that you're staying in alignment, is if you're doing that and if you're finding joy in it. And when you do this, that's why you need to notice your intuition and your abundance and understanding what more means. And then also your fear. Yeah, right? Very, very powerful. Okay. So fear is not just going to go away. Fear needs to be your partner. So let's talk about those fears. Okay. They they can be less frightening when you face them head on. Now, I am not talking about a great white shark in the ocean. I am talking about illogical fears. Okay. So illogical fears, remember, they're not based in reality. So illogical fear means that we've got to face it head on. So for me, the way that I do this is I go, thank you for showing up for me and trying to keep me safe, but this isn't logical. Therefore, that is not an option for me. So now the only option I have, because now fear is on my team, remember, the only option I have is I have the choice to change. We talked about that yesterday. And my change is I have to now shift this, or I have to do something like this. So I have to change the way I'm thinking about it, or I have to go do action to teach my brain and myself that, oh gosh, it was safe after all. So in your companion guide today, there is a big question there for you. Did I put the link in, but let me do that again. So there's a big question in there. What would you do if you weren't afraid? What would you do? And I've included some prompts to help you navigate your fears also along there. And you're going to want to spend some time here with this. Okay. Maybe pour yourself a glass of wine if that's your thing, right? Because I want you to be thinking about what makes you nervous. What are your limiting beliefs about what you think is actually possible for you? What fear do you have? What doubt is haunting you at night? What past experiences replay as the reason you can't go do this thing? And maybe even what parts of your life are you afraid to lose when you go do this new thing? So you're going to do that work. And then are you ready for what you're going to do next? Because next, I want you to jot it all down somewhere. And then I want you to release it symbolically in some way. You could tear it up, throw it away. You could set it ablaze if you want to. You could put enough water on it that it disintegrates. Okay. It's a very powerful ritual of liberation. So then once you've done that, then you want to go back to what you would do without fear. You wrote that down and then go, okay, I got rid of that. Remember, these are illogical things, right? And now, brain, I need for you to serve me because now we have to be a part of a new goal getting strategy because we've just said we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do a new thing. Now, I know right now some of you are like, wait, that doesn't work. That sounds too easy. Okay, that's fine. Sometimes it's not enough. You're right. Sometimes you need to put your brain to work on what you could replace your fear with. Okay. What could you replace your fear with? And usually these are really big fears, or if you haven't done fear work ever, this is something that you're going to want to do. So if that's coming up for you and you're like, this sounds too easy, or it didn't work for me and I don't know what to do next, I'm giving you a process right now. Please write this down. So the first one is, I want you to identify what you truly want. Then you're going to pinpoint the excuses, right? Those are the excuses that scream, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? You don't have enough money. You don't have the education. Who's going to follow you? All the things that come up for you. Then I want you to evaluate. Okay, all those things that just came up that are screaming at me, is it legitimate? Meaning it needs to be healthy. It needs to be a real fear, a legitimate concern. Or is it made up? It's illogical. It's an old belief you have. Something that comes up from your childhood. And then here's the hard part. Then you're going to replace each made up fear, once you know which ones are made up, with the opposite thought. So it could look something like this. Maybe one of your made up fears is no one likes me. So I would have to replace that with, actually, I have 4,000 contacts in my phone. I have a dinner invitation next week for a friend. I have, da 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 da. If I direct message someone on social media right now, they would respond. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to sometimes tell ourselves that's actually not the story. It's just what you think right now. Give me something in the chat if you're following me. Y'all are really quiet in the chat today. Maybe you're writing down things really quickly. That's cool too. Somebody give me some kind of an emoji or a I'm with you or a something in the chat so I know you're following me. I don't want to go on from this. We've got a lot to do. Okay. And you can ask me some questions about this at the end. Okay. Thank you, Beth, for letting me know. Great. Okay. All right. Now, when you do this, I want to prepare you. You need to be ready for discomfort. Remember, every path has its share of challenges. Every path. Mark Manson has this great, really 2-word sentence: embrace embarrassment. So feeling foolish is part of the journey to something meaningful. Okay. So you might feel foolish doing this. You might feel discomforted by this. You might feel like it's not working. You might feel like it's wasting your time. I'm asking you to do it anyway. Okay. Because all of that weird feeling you have could be illogical fear, for one. And two, it's also a clue that something's shifting inside your nervous system. which means you're on to something. Okay. So we want to embrace when things aren't feeling just right, because that is a clue of something. Remember, we did our sleuthing on day one. Part of this work, when you're doing fear work, I want to remind you to do daily grounding. Definitely do some self-care. They're going to be your allies. So maybe do something fun, do some fear work, and then maybe go do exercise. So fun, work, oxygen, or reverse it. Maybe work out, then do some fear work, and then go have a glass of wine or call a friend. Okay. You want to take charge of your nervous system, because it's going to be your compass during change. And remember, fear doesn't want you to change. I mean, even talking about fear, sometimes I get a little, oh, are they going to like this? When you're doing this, I want you to regularly remind yourself of what you wrote down, your formula. Okay. That's part of your why. Getting in alignment can be a tad bit scary, but you want to be having gentle reminders for yourself of what you're trying to do. Because on the other side of what you're doing right now is pure magic for you. So I want you embracing the journey. I want you watching opportunities unfolding. Maybe clients are going to suddenly appear. Maybe your purpose becomes a beacon of fulfillment. I was having a conversation with someone who's in more than doing the replays, and they texted me last night and said, oh my gosh, so this is weird, but I was just thinking that maybe I needed to be thinking about my job differently. And I happened to be sitting in an airport, and I happened to see a friend, and this person, they started talking, and then the friend says something like, I really would like to hire for this particular skill set that this person who's been watching more has. She hadn't told anybody. And literally she was squishy about it. And then look what happened, because as she's dealing with it, as she's talking about it, as she's putting out what she really wants to do in the world, now all the energy and frequency, this is woo-woo, all the energy and frequency in the world is now responding. And suddenly her brain is paying attention differently to things around her. It works. It's scary. It can be a little freaky, but it works. So remember, you have your intuition guiding you. You have fear as a partner instead of a roadblock. And this is all so that you can make better, more aligned decisions for this more life that you're after. Okay. So remember, once we begin to define what more means to ourselves, and then we access our intuition, and we find out how fear can serve us instead of harm us, then we have to go into decision-making mode. I told you we're getting here today, right? Excuse me. So we want to go into decision-making mode about our own roadmap for working on this big, amazing thing. So I'm going to give you a formula for that. And I believe this is in your workbook. Okay. So let me give you a decision-making formula. So we want to be empowering our decision-making by identifying one strategic decision at a time. So it can't be all the things, right? It is one. So you can't say, I need more leads and more sales and more vacation. One strategic decision that you've been hesitant about. This is that more piece right here. This is so crucial. I'm glad you're here live. So what more do you want for your life and biz? One thing. I'd love to know in the chat if it's already coming up for you. What one thing do you want more of in your life and your biz? Let me know in the chat. So once you have your one thing down, here's how we follow this. First step, we have to break it down. So what does this look like? You take a moment and you break it down into smaller components. So this is making sure that you can see that you can do it with confidence. Now remember, you don't have to do it all at once. That's why going step by step is so very important. Okay. So Beth says workations. Yeah. Love that. Okay. So okay. It's okay. My big thing is workations. So now what you'd want to do, Beth, is break it down into a smaller component. One workcation. Now one workation to where? And then to where, what are you going to do there? When do you need to take it? What do you have to do to get there? And literally, the more micro you can get, the better off you're going to be. Okay. Break it down. Here's why you want to break it down. Because every choice that you make, every step that you do, you want to stop and ask yourself, what is the potential impact of this choice? So that's your second step. What is the potential impact of this choice? Does it serve my overall goal? Now, this is where fear is your partner, because fear might say, "Oh, you know what? I'd be afraid if you went then maybe you wouldn't make your mortgage." Thank you. Now I need to go make sure I have a mortgage plan. Fear also shows up and says things like, who do you think you are to have a life like this? Shelve that, because that's not logical, right? That's not healthy. That's not real. Okay. Do you see the way this works? So for every single step, you want to just check in with yourself and say, what's the impact here? And see if fear shows up and do something there. Fear is your partner. Fear should not be a paralyzer. Fear should be your partner. Yeah. Yeah. Very good, Beth. Chat GPT, and you've been having a blast with all this. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great tool. Okay. So that's step two. So step one, break it down. Step two, consider the impact. Step three, we want to challenge any doubt and trust our instincts. So this is that piece of intuition that we worked really hard on yesterday. So you want to make sure that you're giving that time as you craft a strategy. So you want to be like, okay, now I see all this. I've shelved the fears that aren't logical. Now, what does this mean for me? How am I feeling about this? What words are coming up? What am I thinking about this? Right? What kind of action do I really want to do? You really want to be having an inner conversation with yourself, because that is part of your strategy. This is the stuff that people don't talk about, right? Most business coaches do woo-woo, right? And they talk about mindset, or some business coaches are all strategy. Like, here's the template, here's the plan. We're talking about a different way. We're talking about an aligned strategy for your life. Okay. So that's step three. Step four, we want to make a conscious decision to lead with sparkle, right? Which means you take a decisive step right then. You heard me. Not tomorrow, not next week. You go through this formula and you're like, okay, I broke it down. I know the impact. Fear is my partner. I've challenged my doubt, right? I've listened to my internal voice, and I'm like, now I'm going to make one step right now. Make a phone call, book a session, put something on your calendar. You have to lead by taking a decisive step. And that's what living into abundance and clarity is all about. It's not woo-woo at all. It's a system that works for you internally and externally, but you have to participate in the system. Now, this will transform doubts into very strategic decision-making prowess every single time. It will also help you lead with sparkle that's going to radiate confidence, right? You're going to begin to see these small shifts and steps that it can take, and then suddenly you're in a new reality where you weren't even there weeks ago. Okay? It's not terribly hard. It's just you have to do it. I'm glad you're being transparent about that, Christina. Right. But remember, follow the formula. It gets easier to listen to your intuition when first you've broken it down, then you're considering the impact, checking in with fear. Then you're like, okay, where am I on all this? How am I feeling? Is there some doubt here for me? What do I need to trust here? Do you see, like, when you start asking yourself those questions, your intuition will answer you, and it's not so hard to see that. Okay. All right. Questions so far, real quick? We've got a little bit more to go, and then we're going to do coaching. If you've got a question, put Q and then your question in the comments on anything I just shared. And if you need support on it, you need some coaching on it, we're going to do that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to keep going. All right. So about this time is a time when, well, this was great, Suzanne, but we got coaching every day, and you gave us a workbook every day, and you broke it down in small steps. See what I've been doing I've been showing you how to do this, right? And you've been giving us practices to do, and hopefully we've taken time out of our day every day to be with you, and we gave ourselves a little bit of time at night or the next morning to do the work. And so you're working in it, and it has felt easy. You're right, because you've been working in it. You chose yourself, right? And if you're ready to unlock that full potential, if you're ready to unleash your inner sparkle, if you're ready to get some support for this work, if you're ready for more than what I just gave you in these couple of days, and we still have one more day to go, by the way, a lot tomorrow, I do want to invite you to something, and that is to jump inside the Sparkle Factor course. Now, I have some clients that are on here now. I have some clients that are watching the replays. They can answer some questions for you, but I'm just going to take a few minutes before we start coaching to tell you what this is. Because the Sparkle Factor course is really designed to be a transformative journey. And I designed it so that it elevates your productivity and your decision making, but it also ignites your creativity and your intuition so that you can bring that kind of boundless joy and clarity to your life in sustainable ways. And as you've experienced, being in today's fast-paced world, staying productive is really hard. And when you're trying to maintain a sense of inner peace, it can feel elusive. And if you're trying to birth a new something or you're trying to change something about your life, then that's when the fear pops up and it's even harder. And then the overwhelm starts, and then you're still in the cycle that you were, right? But what we do inside the Sparkle Factor course is guide you on this kind of path of mindfulness and productivity, where you're going to learn to harness the power of your mind, like we've been doing here. But we do that while we achieve goals with grace and ease, with actual strategy and templates, tools and tricks, goal maps that really keep you moving ahead. And I'm so passionate about this because, as I said a few minutes ago, you've seen programs that really help you align internally. There's a lot out there, right? Go walk on fire and it'll change your life, right? They really work on your mindset, and that's needed. But there's also programs out there that are like, ooh, design your sales strategy. And you need that too, because that's part of your big goal. Maybe if you're in sales or you're trying to sell something. But what this program does is it works on both components at the same time. And that's about holistically supporting in a customized fashion for you. Because if it doesn't work for you, like it might work for me, then that doesn't work. So there has to be some kind of customization that comes along with it, right? So I do want to walk you through what the course has in store for you super quick. Okay, give me 3 minutes and then we're going to get to coaching. Okay. It's a 6 module journey, 6. And what it does is it revamps, it refuels, it bosses your mind for strategic action and alignment. So inside the course is what we do. We identify clear decisions to create a customized action plan. Each module is packed with tools and templates and guidance to support your growth, your transformation. And then throughout the course, you're going to engage in practical exercises. Think of these as your own strategic session, like you've been in here at More. And those are designed to help you anchor yourself in the present moment while practicing productivity in a different way. That's it. That's all it is. But they're simple, but they're powerful. Excuse me. And what they're going to do, honestly, is become your secret weapon. I look at the Sparkle Factor as a secret weapon that helps me navigate hiccups in business and life's challenges alongside what happens to me on the daily in my life. And I can do that with a little more confidence and clarity. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. Okay. So I pulled out 2 people. This is kind of what the modules look like right here. Okay. And I'm going to send you some information after this about that. But there really are 2 people that were really excited for me to share a little bit of their story that were just like you. So the first person is Shanisa. So Shanisa is a cybersecurity specialist who had a lack of confidence when she came to me. So she wasn't sleeping, she wasn't acting on her dreams. And after working with me, not only did she get incredible results like this, a 6-story banner in New York City when she got a big award on the side of a building. She's been featured in multiple magazines. She's now written 2 books, and she's speaking on worldwide stages where she was afraid to speak before, like at all. And she continues, she told me just the other day, to have increased focus and creativity and a greater sense of well-being because now she's a sleep ritual that's fueling her every day. So imagine what you could achieve with that kind of support in this program. But then there's someone like Christy. So Christy knew something was off and she needed a cheerleader. That's actually why she came to me. But what she found was a new career with a schedule that works in her busy lifestyle. She's now developed healthy habits. She's created a plan of intentional time with family. She notes a new outlook on her self-care. She's now thriving in business and life without always driving the burnout bus herself. So these are just two of the people that have followed the plan to create a new way of being in the world. And normally, like my clients know, this is from Verve this last year, I only open this up at my annual 3-day event at Verve. And I don't just offer the course. Like literally at Verve, it's thousands of dollars to work with me for a year. There's a lot of other things that come with that. But I got to be honest, when I decided to do more, it's because the world feels weird right now. I don't know any other way to say it. The news is not good. There's war in lots of places. We're not getting good financial news. Seems like every day I hear someone that's like, I'm going to close up shop. I don't know what to do. Or they're talking about how their anxiety is just off the chain, or they're just having trouble making decisions and they just want to eat cookie dough. And to me, it felt like that we're at this kind of cataclysmic moment with hustle culture getting the biggest say in how we're supposed to be doing this thing called life. So I decided to do more. One, to just give you some free tools at no cost to really help you realign yourself on what you're trying to do in the world. And that's why I'm glad you're here. And we've got one more day with, oh my gosh, nine tips to activate this on the daily on your own roadmap. So that's why you want to come tomorrow, because it's where everything's coming together. But then and that's all I was going to offer. But then I decided, you know what? There's no reason why I can't open up access to the go at your own pace work in the course only. So it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars. So instead, these 6 modules there are there for you to walk through at your own pace and act on in what feels best for you. So what I decided to do is for a very limited time. And when I mean limited, I mean until February 13th. If you decide that you want to enroll in the Sparkle Factor, you're going to get the Sparkle Factor course. Okay. But I realize you need some more support than that. So I'm going to give you 2 incredible bonuses. So alongside the course, you're going to get access to finding your why, which is bigger than what we just did on day 1. So think of like modules on how to understand your purpose and how to make it align. And you're going to get access to a 5-day mini course on determining your goal-getting personality and creating your system. So together, those alone, when I sell them, and I'm going to do a gig next week where I'm going to be selling one of these, they're $300, okay, if you put them together. So I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to ignite your journey to greatness, which means normally the course is $497. So $497 when you say yes, but now I'm adding this by February 13th, and that brings it way up, okay, closer to $1K because I'm throwing in an additional bonus. Are you ready for that? I decided that you need some coaching. So here's what I'm doing. So I'm going to gift you 6 months of group coaching. One time a month. You can come together on a group call. It's the 3rd Thursday of every month, and it's going to help you solidify your learning. You can ask questions live in there. I'm going to be in there. If you can't come live, you can submit a question on email and I'll talk about it on the call. So when you get stuck and you need the support you need and you're going through the modules, it's all there for you. I charge $45 a month just to come to one call a month, but it's a bonus in this bundle deal that I'm doing until February the 13th. So if you're doing the math in your head, that would be $1,275 for everything, for the 3 courses and 6 months of group coaching. And it's not going to be $1,275, friends. It's not $999. You can see it on the screen. You're going to get all 3 courses, all 3. Let me make it a little bigger for you. All 3 courses, 6 months of the once a month group coaching for $497. That's it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put 2 links in the chat. I'm going to recap this on email, so don't worry. Okay. If you're like, oh my gosh, I just so much information, I don't know what to do. Okay. If you decide to pay in full, it's $497. If that's not available to you and you still want to say yes, I set up a 3-pay option at $175 a month for 3 months. Okay. And that I just put the link right there. Literally, you're just going to go and buy it. That's it. Okay. So click the link, claim your spot, unlock your sparkle. That's it. And I'm going to recap all this with the video replay that's going to be hitting you about as soon as we're done here. Okay. So check the email. I go into what each module includes in there too. So if you need that. All right. Now that's enough of that. Let's do some supportive coaching in the time that we have left. Okay. Because I think that's where you can get some really powerful results. So let's do that. So if you need some coaching, you have a question, you want me to clarify something that we've talked about day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, something else going on in your life right now, I want you to put it in the comments so I can be doing that right now. Okay. So I'm going to stop for a second, give you a second to catch up, catch your breath, write it down. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Christina, trusting your instinct. Yeah, it's really hard to do that. If you'd like to ask some questions about that, let me know. I'm going through everything up here. Still love Beth's little formula she's got. Very good job, Beth. That's a great thing to, the thing about doing that formula too, when you meet somebody and they're like, hey, what do I do? And it doesn't matter if you work for the man, right? If you work in a big office building or if you're doing your own thing, it's a great formula to follow to let them know what you're about in the world. Because you never know who you're going to meet that might help you do something fabulous, right? Or suddenly you have a need, whether it's for personally or professionally. When you introduce yourself in this way, it'll change everything. Seriously, it changes everything. I have stunned you into silence today because no one has a question. No one needs coaching. Okay, that's cool. I'm not going to make you stay on here and stare at my face. Not when you could be working on your fear. How fabulous is that? Right? Just think, oh my gosh, Thursday is fear day for you. You get to work on your fears today, right? Come ready to rock through that tomorrow. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to give you one more chance. If you have a question or anything, put it in the chat. Okay. Here we go. Charlize, trying to narrow down goal and passion. It's hard to pick or select your one thing. Okay. Yes, it is. All right. So, one thing that I will tell you is keeping track of all of this doesn't sound sexy, but it's the way forward. This is what I mean by that. So, if you are unsure, I would think about what are you good at? One column. Next column. What do people say that I'm good at? Third column. What do I love to do? Right? Then things like when have I done things that make me light up? What other things have I never done that I've always wanted to do? You really want to go through some of the journaling questions that I've given you along the way and just see what all those things are. Now, here's my sneaky suspicion, Charlize. You're probably good at a lot of things if you're having a hard time coming up with one thing. So the challenge becomes making all the things work together for you. Now, I will tell you, I'm really good at dancing. I don't get paid to dance anymore or to choreograph anymore, right? I used to, but it doesn't mean that it's not my passion. It means now my passion has to show up differently. So now it becomes part of my hobby. Makes sense? So you can be good and have passion for lots of things, but what's the one thing? What is the one thing that you would give your life to? What's the one thing that you would do even if nobody paid you? I know you've got a big heart of service. So what's the one thing that's going to change other people's lives? Maybe that's your driving force. And then it's how do I have all these other things talk to that one thing or be within the same ecosystem? That's a different question. The first question is, what is one thing? Now, I do want to also say, you could look at it like this. What is one of the things? Makes sense? What is one thing of the things? I didn't say that very well. So maybe it's, I know I'm good at X, Y, and Z, but what is the one thing I'm going to focus on this year and do something with that one thing? It can be like that too. So take the pressure off. Okay. Because when you know that, then it becomes a little bit easier to create a goal system for yourself to be like, okay, if that is the one thing and that is what I'm paying attention to, what does my life need to look like? What does my work need to look like? How am I going to schedule that? What things need to happen when and where? So it becomes easier to make a goal plan when you have that first component. So if you're unsure, go back and watch module 1 of what we've done here today. I just want to remind you to do that. Definitely spend some time in the journal questions and see what's coming up. If that's not helpful or you've got some other things to say, pop them in the chat. I'm staying on as long as you need me today. So don't worry about that. Okay. And I'll come back to you in just a second. Christina, I know it's my fear that makes me doubt your instincts. Ooh, that is such a powerful statement. Yes. This is why writing things down. Gosh, didn't I just give that advice? This is why writing things down is really important. Because in the moment, you will feel things very bigly, very completely, very massively. And what we want to do is say, okay, is this a pattern? Is this a one-off? When did I not listen to myself? Maybe I'm in the situation because I didn't listen to my inner voice. And when you're just kind of keeping track and you're journaling this way, it will make it easier to not doubt your instincts. But I think for you, especially thinking through, is this a real fear or not, is one way. So, would this one decision bankrupt me? Because maybe the fear is, oh, I can't do that because I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough money coming in. So sometimes I have to check myself and go, okay, if I make this decision, because I'm scared to death now, if I make this decision, will it bankrupt me? Because if my answer is no, and it's on my plan, and I've committed to my plan, and I know what I'm trying to do, then I'm like, hey, fear, love you. I'm going to go do this thing because I know I'm not going to get bankrupted. It might be hard. I might learn something, but if the fear is I'm not going to have any money, we're gonna bust apart that fear a little bit. We're not going to let that be a roadblock. Now, if let's say it is a monetary decision and it could bankrupt you, okay, that now we need to listen to our inner voice. Okay, so if I still want to do the thing, how can I do it with some guardrails? That's where fear becomes your partner. How can I notice some pitfalls here? Again, put fear to work as your partner. Maybe there's some different things we have to have ready to go before we do this thing. Is that making sense, Christina? Let me know in the chat. Diane, I'm at the point where I don't know what I don't know since I missed yesterday. That's fair. That's okay. Just totally go back and watch when you can. You've got access to this because I know I've got your email and they're not coming down anytime soon. So for those of you that gave me your email, Christina, yes, thank you. Okay, good. So yes, but just work through. We don't want fear to keep you from doing something. Okay, that's the big takeaway for today. And then Beth, okay, I have a fear of public speaking. I've decided I've researched my topics. I know more than they do. Yeah, I know that you do because you have great wisdom. You know more than they do, so just go out and do it. Yes. Here's the thing. You're going to laugh. You've heard me say this before, Beth. Okay? Go do it and know what the fear was. Is it a fear of public speaking, or dive deeper into that fear? Is it I will stutter? Is it I'm going to have a stain on my shirt and nobody's going to tell me? Is it I might pass out on the stage? Is it no one's going to pay attention and they're always on my phone? Dive deep into that fear of public speaking. Okay? And then you do it anyway. I've heard you say already you're going to do it anyway. And then check in with yourself. Which of those things came true? All the things I wrote down about my fear of going out there on that stage or whatever that looks like, what came true? Because then let's say you did have a stain on your shirt. Okay. Let's say that was a fear that you'd have something on your clothes and nobody said anything and then you'd look stupid. And let's say you got home and you're like, oh my God, I had a stain on my shirt. Well, guess what? You can do something about that the next time. Okay. I'm going to make sure I have a change of clothes, or I'm going to use my phone and do a quick little mirror check before I walk out there, or I'm going to keep a Tide pen in my purse. Do you see, like, fear tells you lies. Fear wants to keep you stuck because fear wants to keep you safe. Speaking's not safe. Speaking changes lives, right? I hope that's helpful because and I'm glad that you talked about that, Beth, because again, fear's sneaky, right? But you can decide what is real and what is imagined. Is not imagined, because illogical fears can have big physical consequences. But am I imagining this is the thing that's going to kill me? Right? You hear me say often, am I going to get pregnant? Am I going to die? If not, I'm going to go do the thing. That's my thing. And is it going to make me pregnant? Am I going to die? It's not, because I'm 53 now, so I'm not getting pregnant, but you know what I mean. Okay, good session. Any other questions, thoughts, reflections that we need to dive into before we get off? Got lots of time, all the time in the world. I'm all yours. And I'm sorry, I keep on tape. I feel a little dry spot on my throat. Allergies are terrible in Texas right now. Fear can paralyze us in sneaky ways. Yeah, especially when you're not the expert in the fear. Yeah, that's right. Public speaking does not fuel the fear, it's people. Right. Well, that's what I mean by understanding what the fear actually is. So the fear shows up when you think about public speaking. There's a difference. Is the fear public speaking, or is the fear that fear shows up when you decide to go public speak? Do you see the difference? So if it's, you just got to get bigger than that. Okay, that's the only way I know how to say that. You got to keep drilling down. So fear of public speaking. I always ask, because I don't know if you know this, that is the number one fear, is public speaking. So what I ask people, because Shanice is a good example of that. She came to me to really help her have confidence in speaking. And that's when we first started working together before she did the program. And I will tell you, her fear wasn't public speaking. Her fear was that she'd be boring when she was public speaking, that she's too technical for people to pay attention, that she wouldn't be interesting enough for people to listen the whole time. That showed up as, I have a fear of public speaking. So, so for Beth, you do know more, so you are an expert. You routinely speak on Facebook, and I've seen you at networking groups, and you speak routinely in small groups of women. You do public speaking all the time. I don't think you have a fear there. The fear is something else. So I just dive in what the fear is, right? And again, if it is, I'm standing on a stage and people are staring at me and I'm speaking, and that is the fear, and you want to do it anyway, and then check in with yourself. What happened? How am I feeling now? Would I do this again? Maybe you wouldn't do it again. That's okay. Remember, understanding your thoughts and your feelings and how they lead to action or inaction. We talked about that at the beginning of more. That's a really important part here. And to make fear your partner, you have to do that work too. Okay. This was good. I love talking about fear. I could talk about fear for hours. Okay. Anything else? This is your last chance. I'm gonna give you just another minute because I know there's a little lag time from me stopping to talk and you typing. Okay, so this is my reminder that tomorrow is very, very, very exciting. Because of what you have to give all this time to yourself this week, right? Hopefully it's not the last ever, but it is for this week. So tomorrow we're gonna talk about the fifth step in this, which is really about sparkling and shining with small steps. We've been doing big work. Have you noticed? Every day we're getting a little more defined. Tomorrow it all comes together, literally. And I'm going to give you some dazzling ideas about that. And I'm going to give you 9 of them, 9 things. Okay. 9 reminders, 9 action steps. They are all completely there. So I really want you to show up. Okay. In a few minutes in your email will be the replay link. Okay. Information about the Sparkle Factor course. If you want to jump in, or if you know someone who needs to jump in, share it away. These links are still live. You could share all the links in the replay with someone if you think that they need it and they weren't here. I love that, right? If you found it valuable, share it away, right? It's free. So anyway, there we are. I hope you have a good night. Please do the work tonight. Please dive into your companion guide. It will make you further and further and further along than you were on Monday if you can stay true to yourself. All right. Thanks for being here. One more day. I'll see you tomorrow.